But at least one of the things I wanted to ask was where you're from in Australia.
Oh, where I'm from Melbourne.
Ah, you're Melbourne. Hey, I actually didn't know that. I think I've met everyone, almost everyone I've met from Australia is actually from Melbourne, like outside of Australia. I don't think I've met any
Really?
Sydney-siders, and I've definitely no, that's a lie. I've met one person from Canberra. I'm from Canberra.
Oh,
So,
that's rogue. That's
yeah,
random. Yeah, you don't meet many people from Canberra outside of Australia.
you don't. And then
Mm.
you know why though, so
I feel like most people I meet in London are from Perth, actually. There's a lot of,
Really?
yeah, a lot of West Coasters in
Nice.
London anyway.
I
Can't
was
speak.
actually born on the West Coast, fun fact
Okay.
about me, but I grew up in Canberra, so but I
Yeah.
haven't really spent much time in the West Coast, to be honest. I'm sure it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And guys, we actually connected. We are live. Usually I'm, like, very stressed about this. If you ever join my lives, you know that I'm extremely stressed when this, like,
Mhm.
connection works or does not work, and we are live and connected. Everyone's coming in right now, joining the session. We'll give you a couple of seconds to join before we kick off officially. Um, but just making sure all of the things are working in the background. Like, where is my little chat? Where's my chat? Join the chat. Good. Chat is working, everyone. So that's good. I think we see where everyone should drop. If you're online already, drop where you're calling in from. Elise and I are Australian, as you probably just heard us as you joined, but we are not in Australia. I'm in Berlin. Lisa's in London, and Marcel, he's German and he's also in Berlin. So
Yes.
drop where you're calling in from, and then we're gonna kick off. And welcome to the session, everybody. So we've got someone else from Berlin joining. Yay! The Berlin crew is here,
Woo.
showing up for us. This is great. I mean, n8n is a Berlin-founded company, everyone. I just heard the CEO
Mhm.
speak at a session this morning. Very cool what they're building. Crazy, crazy growth that company has had. So if you haven't heard of n8n and you don't know how to use it or you'd love to know more about it, that's what we're going to get into in today's session. So we're going to kick off as you all start joining in. And we're going to first say welcome to Marcel. Thank you for joining us as our expert and n8n ambassador.
Hi. Thank you for having me, Jessie. Is this also the part where I can already put my slides on?
No, I'm going to get you to do your slides actually after, maybe.
Okay, then I
Marcel
will
is going to introduce
probably.
himself. Sorry.
Okay. I also got a super, super nice slide about me that I will show you then later when I can put on my slides.
Yeah,
But
please.
yeah,
No,
hi.
you don't need to. You don't need to introduce yet. Sorry, I meant after.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone. We're gonna get there, but I just want to say thank you for joining. So Marcel has got an awesome session prepared for today. He's going to let you know who he is. He's absolutely an expert and a whiz. So we have the perfect person to take you through how to use the tool. And we have Elise joining from Metaview. She is training education lead at Metaview. We're super excited to have her. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to kick off with actually, Elise, you're going to give us, I'm pretty excited, a very exclusive, one of the first look previews of your new AI recruiting agent, Fillmore. So I'm
Yeah.
going to hand the reins over to you. We're going to start with a bit of excitement here in seeing what is new, what's coming out of Metaview before we jump into our session today. So take it away.
Nice. Yeah, super excited. As I was saying, this is very much early stage, kind of sneak peek preview. So very excited to show everyone what we've been building. Before I jump in, let me just kind of set the scene on who Metaview is in case you haven't heard of us or you're not familiar with the platform. But Metaview is the agentic recruitment platform. Essentially, what that means is we spend all of our time thinking about how we can essentially use AI to change the way that recruiting gets done for the better for recruiters and for hiring teams. So we have a number of AI agents and different platforms that really work together to help each stage of that process. But we have just launched one of our latest AI agents, which I want to spend a little bit of time giving you a little bit of a sneak preview about. If you have maybe already heard it, or if you haven't, that is called Fillmore. And essentially, Fillmore is a completely autonomous agent that runs your full top of funnel. So it's pretty groundbreaking for recruitment. It's very much the first of its kind within the recruiting space. But what that means is you have Fillmore as an agent that is running sourcing, outreach, scheduling completely autonomously. So essentially what that means for you as a recruiter, you are presented with a qualified, you start with Fillmore, you start chatting with Fillmore, you let Fillmore know a little bit more about your requirements, the role, who we're looking for. Fillmore then runs that process of sourcing, outreach, scheduling, and then you're presented with qualified candidates who are interested in your role and want to chat. And then you get to review those profiles and essentially say to Fillmore, yes or no. Based on that, you'll then have that candidate booked into your calendar. So pretty groundbreaking stuff.
Pretty cool.
It's the way that it works is it's not like another platform or another tool that you need to log into or learn. It works completely within Slack. So you're kind of thinking of Fillmore as a coworker. You're interacting with it as a coworker. You're chatting with it back and forth on Slack. You're kind of vibing back and forth, throwing ideas around. So when we kind of look to show you what that's about, I've got a couple of slides to show you kind of how that works and what it looks like within a Slack environment. But I think as we kind of walk through this, I want you to remember that this is sitting within your Slack and you're chatting with Fillmore essentially as a coworker in your team.
And if you have any questions for Elise, she's showing, just drop them in the chat. We can try and get to them as well.
Bro. So let's kind of imagine this is your Slack environment. We've kicked off, we're about to kick off a new role. So in this example, I'm kicking off a head of sales. I've got a Slack channel set up with Fillmore. This is me, and I'm just chatting with Fillmore. I'm saying, hey, Fillmore, I want to kick off a new role, head of sales. Here's my JD. Here's the intake notes with the hiring manager. Over to you, do your thing. I then start chatting back and forth. So Fillmore's coming back to me. It's telling me, cool, there's a couple of extra details that I need. I'm going back, giving Fillmore all the context it needs. And then from here, Fillmore's got everything that it's after, and it's now going to start building my shortlist. So you can see this is like pretty revolutionary when you're thinking about having just like that real agentic coworker in your space. You're just vibing back and forward as a coworker, and Fillmore is running now that full sourcing and outreach. So what's now happening behind the scenes as I'm just going about my day, doing other tasks and doing other work, Fillmore is working hard in the background. We've got a swarm of agents that are now going out, finding qualified candidates that match this role. It's doing deep research on each of those candidates that it wants to engage and wants to reach out to. And then it's running hyper-personalized outreach to each of those candidates. So some of the examples that we've seen with customers that are already using it, we're using it for all of our hiring at Metaview as well, is the level of personalization that the agent is actually running to these candidates is, quite frankly, just a little bit mind-blowing, and something that just like cannot compare to human resources.
And is the message being sent coming from like the recruiter's account on LinkedIn, for instance, or like how does it send the message? Is it on behalf of a person? Is it, hey, I'm Fillmore, I'm the like, is it how does it look like for me as a candidate? Who am I getting it from?
Yeah, so it's totally up to you. So Fillmore will ask you that as you go through this whole process. It'll ask you like, how do you want this outreach to be sent? For us at Metaview, we're sending it on behalf of ourselves. So all of our hiring managers are actually just giving giving Fillmore the realm to go actually to send it on behalf of me. But we also have teams that are saying, actually, I want it sent on behalf of like a company side or a recruiting side. So it's totally up to you how you want the outreach to be sent to your candidates.
Very cool. And is there something that have the people using it noticed, like a specific like jump in, this is actually like saving me time? Because I think that's the biggest thing, right? It takes a lot of time to do quality sourcing and outreach, and this is why people want tools like this.
Yeah.
I imagine the people starting to use it have started to see, probably even yourselves, benefits of it.
For sure. I think without a doubt, when you think of this is taking out just the hours of sourcing power that goes into finding that qualified candidate. You can still run that alongside yourself if you want, but you've got Fillmore running that whole process for you while you're getting back to kind of the quality side of improving your processes, training your hiring managers, speaking to more candidates, while Fillmore's taking over that top of funnel. Without a doubt, it's saving hours, if not weeks.
Some people are asking questions, but I think your team might be answering them in the chat,
Perfect.
regarding more around, can it be used on Teams? I think your team said that's coming.
Mhm,
So at the moment, Slack, but coming to Teams soon. And I think
mhm,
there's some other questions there that I might let your team answer in the chat. And if we need to, we'll follow up in the email after the session.
mhm.
Um, I think it's about how to get your team on and also maybe there was actually a question about the actual personalized message. Do you have an example of like a message that's been sent? Is that something you have?
Definitely. So to show you like a little bit of what this looks like, these are like some examples. Of course, this is all anonymized, but this is actually some real life examples of outreach that Fillmore has sent to
Mhm.
candidates. So you can see this was sent from a perspective of like a head of sales role. In this example, we've kind of defined to Fillmore what we want the outreach to look like. So this is very much in the language of our head of sales at Metaview, in the kind of looking at the statistics and things that they want to be sharing to these candidates. And the level of kind of research that Fillmore's able to do, in this case on Marcus as a candidate. As we look through kind of that flow of conversation, you can see Fillmore is now just having a back and forward conversation with Marcus.
Mhm.
As he comes back to me with questions, Fillmore's able to dive into the context we gave it at the start of the role, and just basically autonomously reply and have a conversation to get these candidates interested. So this is kind of like what it looks like. We have so many examples of Fillmore just doing really, really impressive things.
Nice.
We have one example of another kind of head of sales candidate Fillmore reached out to. That candidate wasn't interested, but through back and forward conversations, Fillmore actually asked for a recommendation or referral based on, hey, I can see you've got a really impressive network of people. Do you know anyone else that you would recommend? And we actually got a referral through Fillmore. Then Fillmore took that referral and then reached out to that candidate directly, and that candidate's now in our interview process. So some
Nice.
just really, really impressive things that are happening. The last thing I'll show you before we jump off is then in this example, Marcus has said, yeah, cool, I found some time, I'm interested in chatting. What then happens for you as the recruiter is then you just get pinged on Slack by Fillmore. So once Fillmore has found a candidate that is interested, qualified, and engaged, I then still have full control over whether I think this candidate is someone I want to spend time talking to. And that's where we now come back to that coworker within Slack. Fillmore will ping me on Slack and say, hey, Elise, I've actually found a candidate for you. Here's their LinkedIn. Here's a bit of a brief on who Marcus is. Is this someone you'd want to chat to? If it wasn't, I can say no, and then Fillmore will go and really politely and effectively close off that conversation with the candidate. But in this case, I say yes, and then now Fillmore is handling that scheduling. It's got a link to my calendar. It's able to just go and autonomously book that call directly into my calendar, so I can start chatting with candidates.
Very, very cool. And how do people get their hands on this? I heard there's a wait list.
There is. So we have opened Fillmore up for waitlist interest. So our team will send the link in the chat of how you can get yourself signed up for the
Amazing.
Fillmore waitlist. And we'll also send a follow-up email after this session so everyone has the links, they know exactly where to find it.
Yep.
And you can also book a time with our team and we can give you a more kind of under the hood deep dive look at what this looks like in practice.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Elise, for showing us Fillmore. I think it's pretty interesting. I think a lot of people are going to be interested to check it out. So, thank you again for supporting the community today to have this session as well. We really appreciate all the partners we have. So, if you don't know Metaview, check them out. If you've heard of them, which I'm sure you have, if you're in a TA, you can find more. Like I said, I will send out a follow-up email. You get the links there as well. They'll drop it in the chat. And then that's it. We've seen it. We got I think this is number 2 you said of the exclusive.
Yeah, very exclusive. Up top two previews.
See, there you go. So the community, we're bringing you the hottest tech on the market to the session today. So thank you so much again, Elise, for joining us and showing us that. And now we're going to jump into the session on how to use n8n. If you're in TA or in HR, it doesn't really matter because the foundations are the same. It's all automation. So Lise, you're welcome to stay. You can jump off, you can do whatever you like. If you'd like to watch on the YouTube side, you also can, but you can also stay and ask some questions if you have any. And now we're going to jump over to Marcel. We're going to give him the mic and he's going to let you all know a little bit about him before we jump into the session. And trust me, you do want to stick around because n8n is an awesome tool, and I think it's going to blow your mind if you use Cowork, Claude Cowork, or if you're thinking about automating, you definitely need to be thinking about n8n. So I hand over to you.
Thanks, Jessie. And also thanks, Metaview, for showing us a super, super cool AI agent in Slack. And spoiler alert, I prepared something similar that also works in your Slack and uses n8n as automation platform to add something similar to this. So yeah, I'm Marcel Claus-Ahrens. Now I finally allowed to show this slide, and I know it's a bit overwhelming because I'm a builder myself, and I'm also an n8n ambassador, which means I'm actually from the community, from n8n, here to represent n8n, but you can envision me as a builder who also builds a lot of things, a lot of automations for my client work, but I'm also a SaaS founder, and I do also do trainings around n8n, AI agents, and so on. In some circuits, I'm also known, especially the n8n circus, as Dr. Pure Eval. That's a funny story, but maybe we have time to talk about this later. You will find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect there as well. And I really, really want to talk about n8n because it's a great platform to build something that you just saw, to build on top of processes, automations, and you can use even full-blown AI agents within. So with n8n, you can envision is an integration on platform as a service, similar to Zapier, similar to Make. Different approach, but it's also visual, and I will show you. It has a visual builder. You can drag and drop things. It has all the integrations that we want. It has the capabilities to bring any LLM model that you want. So it's model agnostic, which means all your AI agents can work with OpenAI models, Anthropic models, or if you're really, really into self-hosting, then you can also self-host and bring your own models. Means you also can self-host n8n. And I guess this is super interesting for your use cases as well. You, as our handling applicants and this sensitive data, you have to have an eye on data privacy.
Exactly.
And with platforms like n8n, you can actually self-host this. And if you are capable enough within your company to even self-host an LLM, then everything stays in your environment. This is why n8n is super interesting. And I guess also why Jessie figured, hey, we might need to talk about n8n,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think and it's funny, like, I did a poll just now, 62% of the people who responded, on this session have not used n8n before, right? So this is a tool that I think gets a lot less love these days because Claude and Cowork and all these, like, LLMs are kind of taking over in this individual, use case and, like, how you can become individually more productive, and I think what we're now seeing is how do you actually take that productivity and the benefits of an LLM, but how do you do it in a compliant, secure way at scale in a business where you're not duplicating and you're not having, everyone running their own processes and doing their own automations, right? And I think this is
Yeah.
where you're going to show us how n8n, like you said, can already be
And still
self-hosted.
have fun in such
Yeah.
environments, right?
And have
Still
fun,
being a
guys. Who would
builder.
have thought AI tech building and automations could be fun? We're
Yes.
going to see.
And I guess yeah, this is really, really what n8n is about. So it is really enterprise ready, but it enables even non-technical persons to build their own agents, their own automations.
Yep.
If you ask me, plain automations are well underrated to comparing to full-blown agents that do stuff on your behalf or on your machine. And yeah, I want to demystify this a bit and maybe give you a proper introduction if it's really your first time to n8n. And I would just jump into our today's use case. So Jessie and Metaview have prepared something. We have to work with dummy data, right? So we have Google Sheet here, which is our ATS. So we got all of our candidates, and
And
some of them are already scheduled.
maybe I just highlight this, that Metaview does not have a connector into, directly into, what am I saying? N8n. So, and the reason what we're doing for this session is N8n's notes go into your ATS. They anyway go there. That's your source of truth. And then you would connect your ATS to N8n, right? And it can pull the data from Metaview as well that comes through to your ATS. So this is pretending this is like your ATS system and the data that you would be able to pull in. That's what this sheet is here.
Exactly. So we got the context for our little use case here, and it's enriched with a bit of information that Metaview prepared us. So we still have a link back to Metaview. We got a couple of the extracted data as well. We got the base data as well about our candidate here, like location, right, name, current position, and the transcripts as well, summaries of this, a scoring of that as well. And now what we want, it's basically an automation. 2 hours before our interview, we want to receive a notification with a small brief about bespoken interview. And this brief should, of course, be AI generated to make this more efficient and also customizable and be something useful for our recruiters. So this is the data, and I can also show you the result. For that, I need to jump in Slack. And in Slack, I also want to have another bot. And this bot is more or less working a bit different than what you just saw. This is a bot that pushes messages just to a Slack channel. So 2 hours before our interview, this brief comes into this channel and contains all the information that we have in the cheat. And we can even make this more customizable, like a bit more brief, to be honest. I'm not sure how much information you need for interview or just a short brief, but yeah, we can customize this as well. At this point, this is just an automation. And this automation runs with n8n.
And so that output that we saw at the end is what a hiring manager or someone about to go into an interview would get. So they're prepared and they have all the information. That is customizable, like Marcel said. So you can say, I want it to be this format, I want to have this data. As long as it's in the ATS, you can pull it in and create what you want, and you tell it and you build it what that should actually look like and be. So yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna keep jumping in as we go to make sure everyone's on track. And I think there is also a question here which maybe you can answer as you go.
Mhm.
That really is like, what is the difference between n8n and using Cowork? So I think you will start to see this if you do use Cowork. You will start to see the things that Marcel will call out and show and explain why they're different and why it maybe is more useful, especially scalable for businesses. So we'll just let that kind of be answered as we go through, I think.
Yes, I guess I will answer this as definitely. For the moment, I guess you are seeing first time the n8n canvas. So as mentioned, it's a visual platform. I can drag and drop such so-called nodes. So this is a node. This is essentially the node that is getting the data from the Google Sheets currently, which simulates our ATS. And since we got an automation tool, something needs to be happening. We need an event. We need a so-called trigger. And for such automation, we just want to have a schedule trigger. So every 15 minutes, this sheet will be loaded. Like the whole sheet will be loaded, all the data. I can even click into this and I see the detail view. I know this looks a bit overwhelming the first time, but it's actually super well structured. On the left side, you see input. This is the input for the node. So this is this path. This is essentially the schedule trigger, which means this is time information when this workflow started to run. In the middle, I got all my parameters from this node, which is essentially which Google Sheet I want. I can even apply some filters as well here. If you work with APIs, there are a lot of informations and parameters that you can set to make this even better. And on the right side, you got the output. So this is then our sheet with our currently 18 candidates. And if you noticed, not all of the candidates are actually scheduled for interview. So we need to filter them, right? And filtering is just another node that is available in n8n. 18 candidates come in, 8 come out, because I just set a filter to the interview status needs to be scheduled. I will also try to build this in a short amount of time, so you see even how easy you can build this. But for the moment, I just want to get through with you together so we are on the same page, what's actually needed to be built to build such automation. Then we also have to manage a bit the time, which means obviously this meeting is scheduled. We want to determine, is it in the next 2 hours, which means this node helps me extracting just the amount of hours left before the interview, which will be a field that is attached to the data in the end. So the time difference is, for example, for this data entry, 6 hours. It's minus 6 hours because, to be honest, it is minus 6 hours. You can envision like rocket launch, it's in 6 hours. So it's minus 6 hours. We can work with that. So I just calculated the time difference between a start and an end date and gave it back in hours. With that information, I can super easily determine if it's in less than 2 hours. And as you can see, this is also the first time in n8n that the path is branching. So only one item, only one applicant candidate interview is in less than 2 hours. So only this item will be handled by the next step. But I can also work with the negative case, which is everything that is more far away in 2 hours, or actually at this moment also already happened. So you can even branch this further to build other cases as well. But we just want to focus on the interviews that are happening in less than 2 hours. And say hello to our little AI agent friend here. This is a full-blown agent. To be honest, for this use case, it could also be just an LLM call, but I also wanted to show you how easy you could connect and full agent as part of a process in n8n. And yeah, we got an agent here. I choose also an OpenAI model that is provided in the EU, which means, yeah, as mentioned, you can bring any model. I can just connect another model as well. It's a bit hard to find good models in the EU, but yeah, if you want to go for Mistral, this would be an option. And as mentioned, you can also use self-hosted models or go for the frontier models that are OpenAI or Anthropic. But I want that my data stays at least in the EU, and this is doable with the Azure platform. So I got my GPT model here as well for my little AI agent. And this AI agent has a specific task. It's, to be honest, for an agent quite easy. It's receiving the next candidate that has its interview in less than 2 hours, right? And it got the system prompt. And the system prompt is pretty straightforward. It's generated pre-interview briefing pack for the interviewer. We give it a context, what information it actually has, what we want from the agent. This is a bit of funny information as well. As you can see, this is highlighted green. By the way, this is expression. You can have dynamic values and prompts as well. I really want to make sure that it knows which date today is on purpose. LLMs don't know this. You know, they have a context cutoff, and to give them the context back, at least which day today is, we have to feed them this information, which is then rendered by n8n to this. So this is a prompt that the LLM sees, and we can make this even more dynamic. And yeah, some output instructions. This is very much prompting in the end, agent prompting, because it's going to Slack. Let's give it the information that it needs to be a markdown message for Slack. Since Slack is not super good at handling true Markdown. It has like its own flavor. I added a little code block that was even AI generated. So if you have such situations on n8n Cloud, you can just generate such blocks. If you're more familiar with code, you can even write code as block in n8n. This is something what developers love, but you can also just use AI to get those missing bits as well.
So you
And now we got
can basically create the code to use AI to create the code to tell it to format how you want it to be
yes.
formatted in Slack.
And spoiler alert, of course, you can also generate whole workflows with AI nowadays, which is no
Yep.
problem. I will show you this as last bit. I always love to show you the real human manual designing part first. It's actually a great thing that we can do this. And yeah, we can also make our life more easier when using AI. This is the first time that I can show you you can use AI for such steps. But yeah, this makes nice formatted messages for Slack. And then there's the last step, which is really very much just sending the message to Slack. I just execute this. So we got
And
a
of course, you can
new,
choose where this goes, right? Like you can say, I want it to go into this channel. I want it to go into the interviewer's DM. I want it to go to wherever, right? Like you just choose where it goes and you connect it up. So it really is, you have to know what you want the workflow. Of course, this is always when you build a workflow, you have to know what you want the workflow to do and what you want it to say before you start, right?
yes.
In this example, we have an output that goes to a Slack channel.
Exactly. And I can choose which Slack channel here. I just need to make sure that this Slack bot now also has access to this. Setting up Slack automations with n8n, actually with every tool, is not so trivial. I had the plan to show you this at least a bit, but for non-technical users, this more or less looks scary. But there are two ways to connect Slack. I'll show you this in a minute. But yeah, I can, of course, choose which place it should go. Currently, it's not really agentic, which means not the agent is writing the Slack message, the automation is writing the Slack message. So the agent just designs the brief and
Mhm.
sends this, or the automation sends this back to Slack. I can also make this a decision by the agent. We would have to talk more about the fundamentals of agents, but agents itself, of course, in n8n can also do actions, which is called tools. And n8n made a great job of adding all of their thousands of applications that are connected, ready to use integrations, right, as tools for agents as well. So, of course, I can give it the way of working with Slack, and then I can make couple of parameters, those with this little glitter button, defined by AI, and I can just give this in the hands of the AI agent, and it will write its own the message to this Slack channel. And I can also suggest a user, right? If I want to write to a user, this is a different thing in Slack. And I can also make the user a thing that AI can define. So you have high control what agents can actually do.
Mhm.
That way, if there's a little bubble below the agent and it's connected with this dotted line, means this is now something the agent itself can do. And the agent can decide if it's actually want to use this tool. There can be multiple tools. Of course, you can connect MCPs as well as ready to use plug and play tools for our agents. And you can even go further, like building like the flowchart that you're currently seeing as well, and workflow as tools. So you can build really, really complex tools for agents as well. But I decided to not use this because this is more or less an automation that is AI enabled, but it should always send this message. There's no need to give it as agent tool and make it a decision of the agent. No, I can make this an automation that always runs like this. This is also one of the places where I would say this is the great benefit, also compared to to other agentic automation patterns like Claude Cowork or Claude Code, because this is now an automation that is inside of n8n, and every 15 minutes this runs, and the only part that is currently AI is just generating the brief. This is a super, super cheap amount of tokens compared to having a coding assistant or a coding agent essentially building this pipeline, thinking about each step, using reasoning tokens, right? So this is something that scales at it. And scaling means not only it's cheaper, it's scaling means also it's more reliable, because there's no way that AI currently can do something differently. This is hardwiring AI to a process.
And this is why using something like, let's say, Claude Cowork, it's using AI the whole time. You ask it a question, you ask it to build something, you ask it to do a routine or whatever, it is pulling on your tokens every time it processes, right? And as Marcel just said, this is you use it, you set it up. In the part where it's using AI, you can again select a cheaper model where needed. You don't need that like expensive models all the time for every activity. You box it in, it's cheaper. But not only that, we were talking earlier that this is something that then scales better within a team. So let's say I'm in Cowork and I build out this kind of automation in my own thing, and I have a routine every day that does this for me. It's very easy. Like that's me and my routine, right? But if we have a team of 10 recruiters, we want them all to go. We want this to be for everyone. We want everyone to have this same workflow and to have this same output and the same style of, message in Slack. So there's consistency across our team, and we know what's going on right within the team and the workflows that everyone's using. This actually scales with your team. So it can
Yes.
be used in a different way.
But I also got all the users that they're saying, "Oh, I can just ask Claude, and it's happening." I love this. I also use Claude and other tools a lot for my things as well. I would say those kind of automations, I just ask AI and it works. It's like for on demand. It's like I now have this need. It's not a case that will need to scale for the team. This is most likely also not a need that will be in the future several times. So is there the need to build an automation for this? If not, then go with your Claude Cobra, Claude Code, or other coding agents that go through this for you, because it works. It's on demand, right? But if something is repeating, if something needs to work for more people than just one, if it has to be in a cloud context, which is also a bit of a decision making, Claude Cowork lives mostly in your local machines, like on your laptop, in your file system, right? And it does a great job in at this part, but this can be also a problem. Let's envision you're working with a cheat applicant's data, it's on your machine, but there's this commitment to move everything to a cloud to have a auditable security layer, right? Pretty much this is more or less scenarios where platforms like n8n make this then a lot easier. But yeah,
So
you
you
just
can
want to build.
see so that I just wanted to deep on that. So you can actually see like what's been executed here and kind of
Oh
the
yeah.
audit log of like what's been done.
Yeah, everything is in n8n locked. Even the part that I was building is locked. So if I have a look at this, this would be an error. So I had some errors during building this thing. And I can see what, yeah, okay, the code block that AI generated was not first try working. I tested this, and even this was locked.
Yep.
And also, a nice thing, I see exactly where it broke. The flow is visible for me. It's not code, right? I can see this. I as non-technical user, I would have an understanding. Okay, here it's breaking. I need to fix this, and I can even ask AI for doing this, right? So this is a great way of making sure everybody sees what's happening. So this is a new way, I guess. If in Cowork would something break, you would just ask AI why it's breaking, and it most likely will fix itself. But there's no visibility. And yeah, with
Yep.
n8n, you have this. You can even log stream this if this is one of your needs. By the way, you also have revisions of the workflows itself. So each change is something that is locked in your version that you can go back to, even if it's just moving nodes. This will be a new revision, and then you have also published versions of your workflow, so you can work with this. You can debug this, and there's a live version of the workflow. So a lot of things really thought through super well.
This is for me where I feel like we go from this individual productivity we talked about to organizational productivity, right? Because everyone's kind of got their access to their Claudes and their LLMs, and they're doing stuff, and they're doing this individual, like you said, on-demand kind of work. But if you really want the team to be able to get rid of work and like have consistency and have these workflows built into the infrastructure of your team, this is how we operate, this is how we want the workflow to be, this tool is fantastic for that. And I don't see a lot of people in TA or HR looking at it. I think it's a lot more, it can be set up a lot more secure with more of the data security and the compliance aspects that matter to our data that we're working with in TA and HR. So I do think that it's an option we should definitely be looking at more. So I hope this is giving some people some excitement to, you know, get in there and potentially look at it as a tool. I'll let Marcel continue because he probably wants to keep going, but I just wanted to flag
I
that.
want to build. I want to build.
Yeah.
I
You're
just
like, I
was
want to build
showcasing.
something.
I
I wanna
don't
show you
want to be
something.
this an advertisement in the end. Just I want to show you also how it looks like to build things like this. And yeah, I know that people like this way of just asking and that it's happening. There are two ways of having this in n8n as well. So it's not necessarily needed to drag and drop everything, do each step on your own. So one thing on n8n Cloud, you can have the added n8n agent that edits this as well for you. So an agent that builds workflows. And there's even a way, I know that you love your Claude most likely, and you want to bring the context that Claude is working as well. And this also works for GitHub Copilot and other MCP-enabled agents as well. So what will we be doing? I will prompt Claude to build the same n8n workflow with the n8n MCP. So Claude can build workflows itself. It takes time. Honestly, also the Claude Cowork always takes time, right? So it gives me the time to build things like this as well. I will on purpose use a better model. It's a complex task, to be honest. And you can connect n8n with the n8n MCP, which is just connecting a new connector, but I know it's already German, so I cannot show you this part. But once you connected your n8n, this works for self-hosted and cloud as well. Now you can prompt Claude to build an n8n workflow. So build an n8n workflow that reminds the recruiter 2 hours before the interview that the interview is happening, and add a short brief about the candidate as well. The automation should send this via Slack to a Slack channel. So now context is king. Obviously, I need to mention which Slack channel it should be. This is stuff that I would have to add otherwise later. So let's try to make this easier for the AI. I just copy the Slack channel name. This should make things easier. I can also add already as context the Google Sheet. So it might select this as well. Yeah. All candidates and scheduled calls.
I mean, the good thing is people
here.
are so used to the chat function, and I'm like a big fan of talking to my Claude. So I have like whisper flow, and I just like talk at and give it as much context as I can.
Oh yeah, I got this a lot. That this part needs to be faster, right? But I love when I write, I behave differently.
That's
I
interesting,
feel I
right?
look.
Everyone has their flow that they get into. I love it.
Yeah.
Someone even I talked on a last webinar. They use a foot pedal to turn it on and off, like the voice. I found that pretty funny. But all this means is
It's.
you
I
can
feel
use
it's.
your
I feel like it's a power move. Like I'm so AI heavy, I even don't type anymore.
I just don't wanna type because it takes way longer. I can, like, get so much out of my brain. Um, and then, I mean, what's cool is you basically can use the same interface that you're used to, your Claude or your LLM interface, and then drop all your context, ask it to build it, and it will build you out majority of it, right? And probably help you then, I'm sure it can help you, like, debug and, like, work through it, I imagine, as well, Marcel, or in the n8n AI. So this goes from "Oh, that looks a bit, like, scary," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not technical," like, when I first used n8n, I was like, "Oh, I don't know about this." And then now I'm like, "Okay, this makes life so much easier," basically.
So this is not working. It's already using the n8n MCP. So let's give, now Claude has a head start. Now it's time for me to build the thing, right? So I will build this thing, or at least a similar thing. It depends on the time that we still have left. I hope this is not a reminder for me that
No, I don't know
15
why I
minutes,
have a
right?
reminder going off at 1:15 in the afternoon. I actually have no idea. I've probably
So
forgotten something.
we want to build our first automation. This is an empty canvas, and I know the empty canvas is for most of the people a problem. Where do I need to start? I can tell you an n8n always starts with a trigger. We want something that happens automatically on a given time. It's the schedule trigger, and I can define like which schedule. I want this to be 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, this workflow now starts. Like this is happening every 15 minutes. Now I can have this path. And as mentioned, this is a pattern in automation. I want to load data first. Something has happened. Now I want to got enough information to work. So I add a new node. I add the Google Sheets, and each app node has a common pattern. It's always like a resource. So document is a resource, and then we got actions. What I want is I want to work with the cheat, and I want to just get all the rows in a cheat. So I added this node. I'm already automatically inside of this node, but just to prove it, it's connected, it's here. And now we need to configure some things. First of all, if you're new to this, you might need to connect to Google, which is, you know, this, it's like sign in with Google, give n8n access to this, right? So this is a pattern that you will see a lot because it's an automation tool. It needs to be connected probably. I did this already, just to mention, you will have to do this as well. Once it's connected, this is called credential in n8n. I can just work my way through this. I got our ATS demo sheet. I can select the cheat here as well, and I say execute step, and we got the data. Let's view this in a table. You're more familiar with that. All the data is here, which is nice. So already loaded with just one node, the whole sheet. Let's see how Claude is doing. Oh, it's already validating workflows, which means it essentially is already done building. Let's see. Now we want to filter this information. We got all the applicants. First of all, we want to only have those that are actually scheduled, right? For that, we can use if. If is like a condition. It's a node. You already saw this. It's true or false. And I can build a condition that checks based on the data. So I just look for the data that I want to make the decision upon, and it's interview status. I can drag and drop this. This makes it actually so easy. You can drag and drop data in n8n. You just go to the column header, and you can just drag and drop two fields. And what we need to build is like, if interview status is scheduled, then do that. It's also a super common pattern in automation. I can just copy this. So if this dynamic value for another column, it's, for example, not scheduled. If I scroll down, I can highlight this. You see there's a little counter. So this is raw 9, or actually raw 8. It's not scheduled, but raw 7, it's scheduled, which is nice. We just want to have the scheduled ones. And now you see 8 are scheduled, 10 are not scheduled. This is nice. We just want to focus on those. And now comes the tricky part, and I'm respecting the time that we have. I will copy this from the other workflow. Every time we work with time, it's a bit of a struggle because time is not that easy to work with. So I will just copy this block and I will just show you what it's doing. What we want to achieve is that we have to extract the time first because we need a time offset. We need to know the information. Is it in less than 2 hours? The most easy way is to use the date and time node. It has an operation that it gives you the time between two dates. And now you have to figure two dates. One date is when the interview is happening, and the other one feels a bit counterintuitive, but it's now like the current time the workflow is running. And we need to have the difference between those. And once we have this, we see a new data added, which is this time offset. And it's, as mentioned, it's negative because it's not happened yet. It's in -2 hours. Think like rocket launch. In -2 hours, this rocket is launching, which is your candidate interview. So this is what we want to check. And then it's the same idea. We still want to filter the data. I changed here the value to 6 hours. So it is actually now in 6 hours because our demo data is not um, having the case that it's truly 2 hours. It's almost in 2 hours, right? So yeah, but I can also do 3 and it works just like that. So one item still left. Let's see how Claude is doing. I figured it wants to get permissions to write the workflow. No, you're not done. I'm not done, Claude. Let's give me some time here. I'm the human engineer. But yeah, you see, it's already looking similar to the thing that we already built. Now I want to show you the AI part. Adding AI is also quite easy. It's a block in n8n. I can add an AI agent. I can find all the nodes, by the way, also as big tab plus here. And I can always add to each plus a new node. I add my little new AI agent. And now I connected a AI agent, and this agent needs some input. Usually it wants chat input per default. I need to switch this. And I just could select individual fields that I want to give this agent as context, or I can do a smart move, which is just giving it the whole context, which is an n8n $JSON. It's an expression, a bit of a technical term here, but yeah, it's just giving all the data. Now I want to add the system prompt. And with the system prompt, this agent gets its whole task. If I would not change this, it will be funny how it will behave. So I just add a model here real quick. I go for GPT 4.1, a rather old model, but it's a non-reasoning model, a bit faster at doing the job. So this can be an agent without a prompt. In the meantime, I want to get my prompt from the other workflow. And then I guess it's time to see how well Claude did. We already see this here. Here's the Claude workflow. It is finished. But yeah, let's give me at least
So
the
basically, Claude
time.
was faster than you, is what you're trying to say.
It is, unfortunately, of course, this is the case. But
But
is
this
it
is where
better?
you can I think what's nice is that you're showing, you can I think before you jump in and start, like, building stuff with AI, I think it is worthwhile going through the steps physically to understand how it works together and how technology
Yes.
is doing its job, because it helps us better connect and learn, but also share and debug and understand if your infrastructure is really doing what it should do, rather than just being like, "Let's plug it in and we'll just, like, let it run." So I do appreciate that you're showing the step by step as well.
Yes, and as mentioned, this was no prompt, but essentially helpful assistant. It just created a summary per default, but with the system prompt, I have full control what this AI agent is now generating. Now it behaves correctly. Now it will create the short brief, and yeah, I guess Claude won. I wasn't able to finish it end to end. The next thing would be essentially connecting Slack after the agent, as mentioned, right? I want to have this as automation more or less, and I can just have it send message as well, and then I would have done my part as well. Recruity also similar. I already connected it to Slack. I can choose the channel, and the channel was dollar recruitment demo. And then we have a look what Claude did. But bam, message sent. I got a nice message in recruitment demo, which was the latest thing that I added. Cool. Let's have a look at Claude's creation. It is marked as it was built with MCP. There's a little icon for you as well. That's nice. And okay, it went for a way more simpler approach. Let's tidy this up. This might be a bit of a problem. From my side, I wasn't telling it to make an AI brief, but let's see. So it also figured we want to read this cheat. We got the information. It's nice. It added code. It added a lot of code. This is a behavior that our agents tend to do. It will be less visible to you because they like to do things with code. And it would send message to a channel with the Slack text. Actually, it had made some error here, I assume, because it's not outputting anything. So yeah, thanks, Claude. That gives me a head start. I just won the game. But yeah, you can build
How would
with Claude. You can
and how would
build.
I debug this? So let's say I gave it more context, it came back and it's like, "It's got a bug now." How would I, if let's say I'm not technical, I can't really work with that code, I'm like, "I don't really know how to fix that." How would I try to fix it?
The natural thing is like similar how you would work with Claude in
Mhm,
general. You can just describe what you're seeing and what's not happening, right?
mhm,
This is very much how we could approach this. Um, I can also use n8n's AI assistant here as well because the n8n, or no, both can have the context. But yeah, it feels better to have this last step in n8n if you ask me. I can ask
mhm.
it. The code node is not returning any data. So now the n8n assistant is working. It's also got already what I'm seeing here, also the data, the real data. So it might have more context than Claude could fetch. But yeah. The thing is, yeah, you can build with Claude, with the MCP, you can build with AI in n8n whole workflows. But to be honest, you can also build them quite easily yourself. This is not coding, it's quite doable. And of course, it's a bit of a learning curve. But even if you work with AI workflows first, like seeing this is a head start that you can have, and you can. Um, manage to make this work as well, and you see actually things like it's visual, right? And again, there's even more benefits that are not super interesting for the person that building the automation. That's more on the organizational layer, like the compliance. The It runs actually on server. All the credentials are on server, never visible for you, or for AI, right? So pretty cool things just when you focused on building automations.
Yeah, I really love it. This was fun. I mean, it's something I think everyone's seen these like workflow builders in terms of like visualization, but I think a lot of people haven't jumped in to try and use them yet. I really do recommend people, if you get the chance, to check out n8n. Maybe it's something you could suggest in your team or to your infosec team, your internal security, or like system admin team, like around tooling you use in the organization, and if it's an option to work with this kind of tooling alongside your LLMs, because it is just something that you can again go from like the individual, the on demand, to the hey, my whole team is like working in a consistent workflow. We have standards, we have more compliance and security benefits, etc. So I really do think for TA and HR specifically, this is a really fantastic tool. So thank you very much, Marcel, for taking us through this workflow today. I hope everyone learned a little bit about it, is excited to go and check it out. And of course, Metaview, if you're interested to check out their Fillmore product, then you can find their waitlist. I think it was sent in the chat earlier, but I will also follow up with an email where it has all the links. Also to Marcel, if you want to connect with him, he's in Berlin. If you're in Berlin as well, he's very visible in the community as well, in the n8n community, so you can always ask him questions. I've just opened up that people can ask you questions. I hope that's okay.
For sure.
And
That's what ambassadors are for.
that's right. So that's it, everyone. We are done for today. Appreciate everyone's time. Please make sure to check out the Luma calendar for Stacked. You can find our next sessions coming up. Actually, Marcel is running the next one too. We are doing Claude Code session, intro to Claude Code. So if you haven't used Claude Code, and aren't used to that, we're going to be going through that as an intro as well. So make sure to look out for that one. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, Marcel.
Thanks for having me. Have a